Before the debate, our Caitlin Huey-Burns spoke with Dayton, Ohio Mayor Nan Whaley. They spoke about gun control, impeachment, and her endorsement for presidential hopeful Pete Buttigieg.
You are endorsing Mayor Pete Buttigieg. What do you want to see from him tonight? What do you think he'll try to accomplish?
Well, I think Pete is, the smartest person I've ever met. And the reason why he is so smart, frankly, is he listens to other folks and then figures out a way forward. And I think that energy and that intelligence is really what we need. And I endorsed him because, I think he is the polar opposite of Donald Trump. And so that is the way that we'll have a path forward for this general election. So I hope that that gets to be shown on this debate stage tonight.
I do want to ask you about the issue of guns and gun safety. Obviously, you've been on the national stage for an unfortunate reason, but this is an issue that Democratic candidates have been talking about a lot for a while. What do you want to see the candidates address tonight when it comes to guns? And is there something that you haven't really seen them address on this issue yet?
Look, I think there needs to be focus around this issue. We know that the reason why we don't have universal background checks is because Donald Trump is in the White House. I think that no matter who would win, we would have universal background checks because he's the one that's holding it up. I think it's really important as we are making big moves now around gun violence prevention, something that, mayors across the country have been on this issue way before it was popular, but it is great that public sentiment is with us. So it's really important that we demonstrate the same support that the majority of the population is with. So 9 out of 10 Americans support universal background checks. Let's get that done. A majority of Americans support an assault weapons ban. We could make that happen. But I don't want us to go so far that we don't even get the stuff that the majority of the American public is with us. That's what we need to be focusing on, because right now Washington is so broke, they're not even listening to the American public.
So keeping it kind of within what can get public support.
Yeah, I think that's, I saw Speaker Pelosi talk a few weeks ago, and she said, never underestimate the power of public sentiment. Public sentiment is on our side. Let's stick with public sentiment, because with public sentiment and taking over the White House, we can get this done.
You are a mayor of a Midwestern city. Mayor Pete Buttigieg is exactly. What do Democrats need to do to win back places like Ohio? What kind of policies do you think they need to embrace? And are you concerned about, Democrats have been criticized for moving so far to the left in this primary. Is that concerning to you in terms of competing in the Midwest?
Look, I think it's a false choice when people are saying, oh, we should go after the Obama-Trump voter, or we need to be, more left. I think really what Ohio voters and voters in the industrial Midwest are looking for are people that listen to them, that understand their issues, and that they show that they understand them. And what's going on in our states is people are working harder and harder, and they're making less and less money, and their kids are not coming back home. And what are you going to do around those kind of communities where the deck has been stacked against them for decades? Those are the issues that are affecting everyday Ohioans and everyday Michiganders and folks in Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. And the candidate that can really speak to that, regardless of how left or how right they are, is the candidate that will win the White House.
Impeachment, the impeachment inquiry is kind of overshadowing a lot these days. When you're talking to your constituents and people in your community, is this something that they're talking about? What's kind of the sentiment?
There's a little bit of chatter around it, more just complete amazement that the president, tried to deal a favor allegedly with, the Ukraine government in return for some information about an opponent. So there's some disbelief, but it's not on the front mind of everyday Daytonians. Frankly, Dayton is completely galvanized around getting common sense gun legislation through, hopefully even before this presidential election, and they're interested in the issues I talked about before, making sure that their kids have a place to come to back home in Dayton, and then also to make sure that they have opportunities themselves to have a decent life when they have a decent wage.
Well, we're always thinking about your community, so thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks. Great talking to you.